Welcome everybody. Making a special video for you here today. We are going to go over the answers to some of the questions you had with the coronavirus in last week's assignments. So last week, you had an assignment where you had to do some prior knowledge on what you knew about coronavirus, what you felt confident with, and then I asked you to say what kind of things are you still confused about or what kind of things you're still worried about. And so I looked over your questions when I graded your work, and these are the questions that people had. So I figured, you know what, I don't want to leave you out there hanging. So let's go ahead and go over those questions as best that I understand them. Just remember, I'm your biology teacher. I am not an infectious disease expert. There are many more smarter people on this subject than I. The CDC, Center for Disease Control, is probably the best place to go get your information, which is two of the websites you had to check out last week anyway. But that's where I would start with those kinds of answers. But I'm going to give you my understanding as I watch the news and I pick things up and I kind of figure it all out. So let's go over those. So I put it in a PowerPoint presentation for you so you can see the questions as I talk about them. And on Microsoft 365, of course. Let's make this thing full screen. So answers to your COVID-19 questions. What you wanted to know about COVID-19 that we got here today. All right, you know what I'm going to do? Let's go back. Let's just do it this way. Okay, so first question. Thank you, Internet, for cooperating. Okay, one question was, why is it called COVID-19? Why is it that we're using that? There's a rumor, there's some myths out there about, oh, well, it's called COVID-19 because this is the 19th virus that we've seen like this. That's not necessarily true. We have seen coronaviruses before, but the reason it is called COVID-19 is the CO is for corona. That's the type of virus. There's different types of viruses. Corona is the name, has nothing to do with the city, has nothing to do with the beer. It's just called corona, probably because of dealing with something, either the way it was found or some kind of reference to something. So CO for corona, VI for virus, D for disease, coronavirus disease. There's your COVID. Why is it numbered 19? Because they numbered the year that they found it. So it first showed up at the end of last year, around November, December, and so that was 2019. So they gave it 19. So that's why it's called COVID-19. All right, next. Did a Chinese person eat a bat to start this thing? Okay, so the internet goes crazy with its rumors. So there are people who are kind of like virus hunters, and they are out there trying to figure out where the origins of this virus came from. As you are going to learn with the lessons this week in biology, DNA goes through mutations. Those mutations could lead to different genes make different proteins. In this case, the mutation in the virus DNA could make a different kind of virus. And so, but where did it come from? So far, my understanding is that yes, there is some research to show that it did originate in bats. It doesn't mean somebody ate a bat and now they got the virus. What had happened, and they actually predict there's another animal in between, is that the virus got used to the bat body, the bat cells, and then somehow went through another mutation and got into another animal, and then it started to be around in those animals, and then it went through another mutation, and that mutation allowed it to get itself into human cells, and that's where it came from. It's not made in a lab to get us all, or, you know, people are eating bats or whatever. I hear all sorts of crazy things. Okay, so that's not, it evolved from the one that was in bats. Why didn't China stop this thing? Okay, so this is one of the controversies that is out there, is there's some research that shows that China tried to like kind of sweep this under the rug and hide this thing because they don't want the bad publicity associated with having a virus in their country. You have to remember, China, this is where your history class comes in, China is not the same type of government that United States is. And so China is a much more authoritarian, communist / socialist type of government, meaning they control things a lot better. So they kind of hide things. They can kind of control the media. They can kind of control how the message goes. Why didn't they stop it? There's a lot of speculation. It's just because it would have made them look bad, and they just tried to get rid of it before it became a big issue, but they failed. And people traveled all over the place, and that's how it spread to everywhere all over the globe. And so how did it end up all around the world? This is a nasty virus because you cannot have symptoms. You don't feel sick. You don't look sick. You don't act sick. You think you're totally fine, and you could be walking around giving the virus to people. And so I'm sure people who were in that area at the time probably picked it up, probably either for business or for vacation or whatever, flew around the world, and then they gave it to the people that were in there, and then those people spread it to other people, and it just spreads. And it's so infectious, and you don't show symptoms sometimes that people are passing on. That's why we have to go wearing masks and washing hands and all the stuff we're doing right now, because you could be carrying the virus and you have no idea that you haven't been sick at all, nothing at all. So that's how I got up around the world. Okay, some of the stuff that's going on. All right, social distancing. What is the point of that? Well, I just told you how you could be having this virus and you could give it to other people and you wouldn't even know you had it and you wouldn't even know you gave it to somebody. So we're pretending like everybody has it. And so the best thing to do is to just not be near anybody. And so you can't give the virus to somebody else if they're not close enough to get it from you. How do they get it from you? Well, it's not like flying through the air. It is in the air, but it's in the water drops in the air. So out of your spit, okay, it can actually be in the water droplets coming out of your mouth. So when you talk and water comes out of your mouth, the virus can be in that. So a sneeze, obvious. A cough, yes. And so why 6 feet? Well, they've kind of determined that that's the distance that a spit or a cough or some normal talking can't travel 6 feet and get to another person. By the time it goes out of your mouth, it's going to fall down to the ground because of gravity, and it won't get to you if you're 6 feet apart. Now, if you're 1 foot apart, it'll get to you. If it's 2 feet apart, it can get to you. So they try to tell everybody 6 feet. Okay? So the social distancing is to stop the spread of it from the people who have it to the people who don't have it, whether you're going to have symptoms or not, whether you're going to feel it or not. Masks. What's the point of masks? Okay? So the masks, again, what are you doing? You're covering your mouth. Well, all that spit, all that water coming out of your mouth is being trapped in the mask. And so, like I went to the grocery store yesterday, and I'm walking around the grocery store with a mask, but I could smell people's perfume. And so you're thinking, if I could smell their perfume, couldn't a virus be getting inside of me? Yes, it could. So here's the thing. Masks don't really keep you from getting the virus. They just keep you from spreading it to other people. But if everybody in the store or everybody wherever you're at is wearing a mask and nobody's spreading it, then everybody is safe. Does that kind of make sense? Material for the masks. I'm not an expert on the material. The idea is that it's some type of material that traps in the water droplets that are coming out of your mouth or possibly your nose if you're sneezing or whatever. Okay? Another question that folks had out there is, are the symptoms like the flu? Okay, so I haven't had it, but I've watched a couple people on TV talk about it, and they say it's horrible flu. It's different for every person. Some people and this is why they think, oh, younger people don't really get it. Well, you do get it. It might not be as bad as somebody who has a condition already or somebody who's older, but you might have a fever. Like my son had a fever at the beginning of this quarantine thing, and he could have had coronavirus. Maybe my whole house has coronavirus, but we haven't had any symptoms other than a fever for like 24 hours and just feeling achy for a little bit. So to him, it just seemed like, it was kind of like a normal flu. Somebody else, the people on TV are talking, man, they were on their butt for almost 2 weeks, every day, fevers and achy and tired, and like they couldn't even feel like getting out of bed, and just, you don't want to eat, and it's just a mess. And those people survived. So the thing I think we need to get across to everybody is, even if you're going to survive this thing, it is a horrible experience. So you don't want to get this thing. So you definitely want to take those precautions to prevent this. All right, more questions you had. Words that are being thrown out all over the news, and you're like, what the heck are they talking about? All right, things like apex, peak, flattening the curve. Okay, so I got a graph here. This is all based off a graph of the number of people that have the virus, if you think of it this way, okay? And so in March and then into April, we were right in here. It was just skyrocketing, just boom, right? And so we're going up, we're going up, we're going up. Eventually, through doing the stuff that we're doing, the social distancing, the masks, the, you know, not being out, not interacting, not seeing grandma and grandpa, eventually the number of cases will stop increasing, it'll slow down, and then it gets to this top. The apex or the peak is the top, where it's not increasing anymore. It's starting to flatten a little bit right here at the top. And then over time, the number of cases starts to go down. It starts to be less people, less people, less people, less people, less people. And eventually it would go back down to normal. So this happens kind of quick. It starts right here, ends right here. So people think, oh, let's just do that. Well, the problem is, look at how many people get sick. That's bad, okay? So flattening the curve is dropping this down to something like this, to where, yeah, it goes up, but then it kind of just goes much longer, much longer, much longer. So why is that important? Well, because if the hospital, let's say right here, I put a little line across here, the hospitals can handle this many people. That means all the people above that spot wouldn't be able to, the hospital can't help them. They can't treat them. You just got to live at home and hope you survive. And so what we're trying to do is keep the number of total people low so that there's more room at the hospitals for everybody. Okay, so we're flattening the curve, bringing it from something like this down to something like this. And how do we flatten that curve? Just all the stuff I was talking about. Social distancing, wearing a mask, washing your hands, keeping away from people, just all that good stuff. And so why is it that you're not in school? Because if one person had this thing, came into the classroom, that's 30 of us sharing the same air, sitting way within 6 feet of other people, and we could be passing this thing around the room. And so after a 2-hour block of class, like, out of 30 people, maybe now one person comes in with it, 20 people walk out with it. And then those 20 people are going to go to the next class. And then those 20 people are going to go to their next class. And then you're going to have 100 people now going home and giving it to mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever else lives in your family. And then they wake up the next morning and then they go to wherever they're going and they're giving it to all those people. And boom, it just spreads. And that's why you saw this real increase in the beginning. Spreading fast. And so what we did all the stuff to stop it spreading. We can't stop the virus, but we can at least stop who it gets to. And that's what we're doing, flattening the curve. So the apex is up here, flattening the curve is what we're talking about right there. All right, next questions. You guys are real intuitive. I was really impressed with these questions here. It says, how is this affecting the environment? So these are pictures that you can find on the news right now. This was before coronavirus. This is right now. You might even think those are not the exact same spot, but if you look closely at this picture, that building and that building are the same building. It's the same picture. The air quality has improved. Same thing here. Here before and after. Why is that? I think this is in India. Because people are not going anywhere. People aren't driving cars. People aren't putting stuff into the air. It's allowing the pollution to clear up and go away. Is it stopping climate change? No, because this isn't carbon dioxide. We talked about that in first semester. Carbon dioxide is still in the air, still causing global warming effects. So we're not fixing climate change, but we are cleaning up the air a little bit, okay? See what you can do with a little bit of bicycling and staying at home and not driving to work every day? Fantastic. All right, second question. If a pregnant woman were to become infected, could the baby become infected? Possibly. The mother and the baby are connected through the placenta, which is the sharing of blood. So the virus could potentially cross the placental barrier and go into the baby's body. But the good news is that the mom also has her immune system helping to fight stuff off on behalf of the baby as well. Now, I'm not an expert on the placenta and the barrier, the blood barrier between the mother and the child. So I'm not going to say I know this for a fact, but if it's in the mom, it's a chance it could go to the baby. But the good news is the mom's immune system, and honestly, the placenta is a pretty awesome place. It's actually getting the stem cell research. It's a great place for cells to generate and come out of. And so hopefully the placental cells will be able to help fight the virus off as well. Okay. So that one I'm not 100% sure about, but I wanted to at least throw in my 2 cents on that one. Okay, that was just an empty slide. And there we go. Just want to thank everybody for doing your work and appreciate it. And keep asking questions on Jupiter message or text message if you have any. All right. I thought this was a pretty cool assignment. I'm glad you shared and had some thoughts, and hopefully this answers some of your questions. All right. Have a good one.